The disturbing true crime documentary American Murder: The Family Next Door has captured and shocked many Netflix viewers. In today's video, we'll talk about the documentary's most disturbing scenes, such as the horrific moment Chris Watts' guilt was revealed, or the moment Shannon and her daughters go missing. Stay tuned to hear all about the most shocking moments from American Murder: The Family Next Door. Firstly, Chris begins his affair with Nicole Kessinger. Chris's mistress, Nicole Kessinger, told authorities that she began seeing the married guy more seriously towards the end of June in 2018, according to Insider. At Anadarko Petroleum, where they both worked at the time, Kessinger met Watts. Chris claimed to be separated from his wife and in the process of getting a divorce. According to Kessinger, the Frederick Police Department, on the other hand, chronicled Google searches done by Kessinger during the time period in its discovery record. For example, on July 24th, Kessinger Googled "guy I'm having affair with claims he'll leave his wife," page 1896 of Discover via Reddit, implying she was aware Chris was still married when she began seeing him. In an interview Kessinger gave to the Denver Post, it was later revealed one day in the middle of June he walked into her office to introduce himself. They continued casual conversations. She noticed that Watts did not wear a wedding ring. Next, Chris fails the polygraph and his affair is discovered. According to the Frederick Police Department's discovery report, Chris's place of employment regional manager contacted the cops to say they'd been made aware of a relationship involving two of their employees, Watts and Kessinger. After getting concerned about news stories about Chris's missing wife and children, Kessinger contacted police later that morning to discuss the situation. Chris failed a polygraph test on August 15, as seen in American Murder: The Family Next Door, and reported in the Frederick Police Department's discovery report. He confessed to killing Shannon after originally stating that his wife had murdered his daughters and he had retaliated by killing her. Shannon's family issued a statement to CBS4 following her arrest. "Our lovely cousin Shannon Watts, her unborn child, and her two angelic girls, Bella, who was 4, and Celeste, who was 3, were brutally murdered by her husband Chris Watts, who confessed to the murders. Please remember to pray for Shannon's parents and brother." Shannon's body was discovered near the Anadarko oil field, one of Chris's former workplaces, after Chris's arrest. Shannon was transported to the location after her husband strangled her at home. Next, Chris was sentenced. Chris was accused and found guilty of his crimes after all of his awful acts and lies. According to Inside Edition, Chris was condemned to 5 life terms without the chance of parole. Judge Marcelo Kopkow told Chris, according to the outlet, "Out of the thousands of cases I've seen, I can honestly state that this is the most horrible and vicious crime I've ever seen. It would be inappropriate to use anything less than a maximum phrase." Up next, Chris pleads for Shannon to return home. Chris said Shannon had left the house on her own will in a series of media interviews. He told local television station KMGH via People, "I just want everyone to come home." When quizzed by a reporter about whether they'd be a marital fight prior to Shannon's disappearance, Chris replied, "It wasn't like an argument. We had an emotional conversation. I'll leave it at that. But I just want them back. I just want them to come back," Chris remarked on Denver 7. "If you're out there, Shannon, Bella, or Celeste, please come back. Please, whoever has her, return her to me. I need to see everyone, and then I need to see them again. Without somebody present, our place is incomplete." Now, Shannon confides to her friends about her marital problems. Shannon began to confide in her friends about the problems she was having with Chris. She also postponed her baby's gender reveal party since she felt Chris was uninterested in having another kid. "I grabbed his hand during the ultrasound and he didn't grab back," Shannon told one acquaintance, according to text conversations obtained by the Weld County DA via Oxygen. She also said in another set of messages, "Chris stated that we are no longer compatible, said he felt having another baby would make him feel better. The only thing I can think of, even though I don't think he has it in him," she continued, "is another girl." Now, let's look at the psychology of family killers. Family annihilators generally fit into one of 4 basic profiles. Criminologists use the word family annihilator to describe someone who murders their own family. Based on a criminal reviewing 30 years worth of newspaper records, the Howard Journal of Criminal Justice published a study on the characteristics of family annihilators in 2013. Assailants are mostly male and fit into one of 4 types: according to the study: self-righteous, disappointed, anomic, socially unstable, and or paranoid. Chris Watts has been demonstrated to exhibit self-righteous behavior in addition to fitting the gender element of the description. According to the findings, self-righteous family killers frequently seek to blame their spouse for both the crime and any family strife that preceded the murders. Watts demonstrated this when he informed detectives that Shannon was the one who murdered the children, causing him to kill her in a fit of wrath. Watts later retracted his claim when dealing the assassinations of his daughters with his own hands. Financial strain can be a major trigger for family killers. Despite the fact that family annihilators are not as well studied as serial killers or other mass murderers, the public was perplexed that a supposedly loving father and husband could plan something so heinous. However, when compared to other family murderers, one thing tends to stand out: financial stress. According to a research published in the Howard Journal of Criminal Justice, the second most common motivation for family murderers is financial difficulties. Despite the fact that family annihilators are not as well studied as serial killers or other mass murders, the public was perplexed that a supposedly loving father and husband could plan something so heinous. Chris Watts, like John List, who admitted in a letter that his 1971 family killings were motivated by money, appears to have had his own financial problems. After racking up medical and credit card debt, as well as debt linked to department store spending and student loans, the Watts family filed for bankruptcy in 2015. Now, we've discussed some crazy moments from the documentary along with some of the psychology of family killers. It's now time to get into the moments we talked about at the start of the video, like the shocking moment Chris Watts' guilt was revealed by the neighbor, as well as the moment his daughters and wife went missing. Stay tuned to hear more about these shocking moments. The shocking moment Chris Watts' guilt was revealed. The disturbing true crime documentary American Murder: The Family Next Door has captured and shocked many Netflix viewers. Social media posts, interview archives, and never-before-seen home recordings all help to convey the tragic story of Shannon's disappearance before the truth was exposed in the documentary. In a surprising turn of events in the film, Chris, who was finally arrested and charged with the murders, was outed as guilty by his neighbor. Chris was seen walking about his living room by his neighbor, Nate Trinistich, who was watching a home movie on a TV while cops stood nearby. Nate was skeptical of Chris's behavior after seeing him driving in the early hours of the morning, claiming he wasn't acting right. But Chris insisted Shannon and his two girls had gone missing on their own accord. Nate explained in the documentary he was loading tools, but I thought that was a little bit odd because I had never seen him really back the truck into the driveway ever. He always parked it out front, so I definitely thought it was kind of odd. Chris was apprehended and interrogated before being charged with their murders. He later confessed to killing Shannon and their two daughters, Bella, 4, and Celeste, 3, was sentenced to 5 life terms with no chance of release. Shannon and her daughters go missing. Shannon was supposed to return home on August 12th, but her flight was canceled. As a result, she didn't get home until 1:48 a.m. on August 13th. Nicole Atkins left Shannon off at her house, and she was the first to raise the alarm when she couldn't reach her later that day. Shannon was slated as a doctor's appointment at 15 weeks pregnant, but she never showed up. According to People, a police officer arrived at Shannon's house at 1:40 p.m. to do a welfare check and was met by Atkinson. When Chris returned home, he allowed the officer to search the premises. Shannon's purse, phone, and medication were all in the house, but she and the couple's daughters were nowhere to be seen. Shannon had intended to take the daughters to see a friend, Chris informed the cops, though he had no more information regarding his wife's whereabouts. A neighbor suggested Chris was acting oddly about the disappearance as revealed in the Netflix documentary. Chris was caught on camera leaving the residence at 5:27 a.m. the next morning, claiming to go to work. There you have it, a range of shocking moments we discovered from the Netflix documentary. It is such a sad tragedy for the wife and children that lost their lives, and we hope Chris Watts spends the rest of his life behind bars for such a horrible crime. Leave us a comment down below if you watched the documentary and what you thought about it. Thanks for watching.